Okay, so here I am revisiting this C&K Rotary switch. They sent me a new switch. Apparently I had a switch from a few years ago, and this new one with some red epoxy, show it to you, is the one I should be using. And this one's looking pretty good, so I'm going to actually show some characteristics, just repeat the experiment from the old video, and show that it doesn't bounce. So let me just first show the hookup. It's the same as before. Going from first position to fourth position, where second and third are shorted. It's actually a 12 position switch, and I'm on a couple different points, but anyway, they're all in sequence. So there you can kind of see the hookup, same as I had before, and the 9-volt battery, and right now it's in the first position. So there's no 9-volt connected, and I will then switch the second and third. I've got this scope set to trigger on a downward edge around 8 volts. Let me actually set it up to single. And now it's just waiting for that trigger for a falling edge. So let's try to set it up here. Okay. All right. So here I'm going into the second position. And it does bounce on that one because I just switched it on. Basically went to 9 volts. So you do see some bounces. If I zoom out on this, I bet I would see that, yeah, there were bounces earlier. So it went up. When you switch from low to high, it does bounce. There's no surprise there. Let me go back to that same 100 nanosecond scale. Put it on single. Now here I should see no bounce. And I don't see any bounce. It's still waiting to trigger. You can see it's still high. Yeah, it's still high. I put it in single mode and I'm looking for the bounce. Now it should go down. And there you see a little glitch before it truly goes down. I think if I zoomed out I'll see it. Well, I didn't capture it. But it is now off, so it had triggered there. Okay, so let's check this again. So I'm going to go back to that same scale and go backwards this time. So now I'm in the fourth position. And I got it ready. So here I'm going to go backwards. And it did not capture anything. That one was a sharp edge. There was no bounce in that edge, apparently. Anyway, that's nothing I'm investigating. It's the next toggle here as I go from high to high. And there's no bounce. So that's good. It's making before it breaks. And if I go one more, it will drop. So this one will show a shift down. And there you go. So it's working just as it's supposed to. And many times you don't see much bounce. This is a pretty low bounce switch, typically. Well, I'm not doing statistical measurements, but I'm going to go back and forth a few times now. So right now we are off. And I'm going to go to that sharp scale, 100 nanoseconds. And now when I go from first position to second position, nothing. To third position, nothing. To fourth position, it turns off. That's ideal switch, what I just went through. Now I'm going to do this again backwards. So from the fourth position to the third position, nothing. Third to second, nothing. Second to first, you do see it turn off. Because there it's off. So that's not a surprise. There was a little bounce there you saw in the last one, but that's typical for any switch. So I'm going to do this one more time. Single, going across, up, and there you got a bounce, but there I just turned it on, so it actually is going to, if I zoom out here, well, I didn't capture the first triggering up. Anyway, so we're high right now. I'm going to go to single and see if it ever captures a downward edge here. And that time it did break before it made. Well, that's unfortunate. I thought this switch was working pretty well, but I did manage to capture one problem. Pulse. Let's do this again. I'm going to go from the third position to the fourth position. And there it turns off with a bounce, which is no surprise. So we're going to do this again. Backwards from the fourth to the first. So let me first just show it's off. Okay, it's off. Now I'm going to put the single. Backwards now from fourth to third. So now it's high. I'll show that it's high by going to that. And I'm going to do a single, and this should not trigger. It does not trigger. I'm actually going to go back and forth a little bit between these two. And I'm going back and forth now, not triggering. Oh, that time it did trigger. Sometimes does trigger, and this is going from the second to the third position that I saw that. Alright, so it's not perfect. It's definitely better than the old switch, but it does sometimes break before it makes. Okay, so now I'm in the first position. Do this again. First position to second position. That's no surprise. Gonna run it, so now I'm high. Second position to third position. This one sometimes has a problem. Not there. Gonna go back again. Second. Back to third. Nope. Back to second. Back to third. And there you do see a little glitch. So every once in a while, going from the second to the third position, I see it temporarily fall because it's high right now. And I'm going to turn it off now. So now I'm in the fourth position. Okay, so it's not perfect. Captured a few here. And let me do one more. So single, we're in the fourth position now, third, second, first, and that captures it. Now we're low. Now we're going to go first, second, that one's normal, should do that, because it's now high. And second to third, this one shouldn't fall, but it sometimes does, showing that this is not a perfect make before break. So it did not fall. I'm going to go back to second. Second to third. Does not fall. Back to second. Second to third. It does fall. Even though, if I run this, it's still high. So it is not perfect. I'm going to turn it off now. Just like that. Okay. So there it is. That is the setup again. Just for the record, let me try to get some of these cables here. Zoom back a little bit. And that's what we're doing. Second to third there, sometimes it did break before making, but it's much better. The old switch would do a break before make pretty much every time. So let me again show the new switch. See if I can get any good. You can see that S on the back there in the red epoxy. You can see all the hookup. Alright, so there you have it. That is the new switch in the make before break shorting experiment.